Witch Trials Revisited. Explore the cursed sites of persecution. Sounds pretty dark, doesn't it? Well, it is. The witch trials were a dark chapter in history, which lasted from about 1450 to 1750 and encompassed most of Western Europe. During this time, many innocent people, primarily women, were accused of witchcraft and subjected to persecution, torture, and execution. Merry meet everyone, I'm Witch Hazel, and despite the depressing theme of today's video, I wanted to share it as a way to both honor the history of modern witchcraft and hopefully act as a reference point for creating a brighter future for the same. The witch trials are a very important theme for modern witches. These moments in history are unfortunately some of the best documented resources available about our craft historically, and we can trace a lot of our modern ideas and traditions back to them. Additionally, many modern witches come to their craft via feelings of disappointment or not being accepted in the religion they were brought up in. For that reason, this theme of persecution strikes a very personal chord. It's been a personal bucket list item of mine to visit at least one historic site related to witches. I'm starting with the infamous options because it's what came to mind for the Halloween into winter season, but I've got a note to also share some positive sites. So if you have any recommendations for that list or any additional options for this one, please let me know in the comments. Without any further ado, here are 5 of the most famous sites associated with witch trials. Number 1, Salem, Massachusetts, USA. The Salem witch trials are among the most infamous in history. The trials took place in colonial Massachusetts between February 1692 and May of 1693. Of the more than 200 accused of witchcraft, 30 were found guilty and 19 of those were executed by hanging. They were 14 women and 5 men. 1 other man died under torture, and at least 5 people died in jail. What makes this particularly sad, in my opinion, is that it took place at a time when the witch hysteria had already mostly died out in Europe. Today, Salem is a significant historical site with museums and memorials dedicated to the victims. So then we have number 2, Pendle Hill, England. In 1612, the Pendle witch trials occurred in Lancashire. The trials were among the most famous and best recorded witchcraft trials in English history. 12 people were accused of 10 murders via witchcraft. 1 of the accused died in prison, and of the remaining 9 women and 2 men, 10 were found guilty and executed by hanging. 6 of the supposed witches came from 2 particular families in the area, and there was retaliatory accusation involved. So which sounds a lot like a family feud to me, so I'm curious to look into this one further. Pendle Hill and the surrounding area have since become associated with witchcraft and folklore. So number 3, we've got Wurzburg and Bamberg, Germany. So this was actually a series of witch trials which began in Wurzburg, Germany in 1626 and spread throughout several regions in southern Germany, notably Bamberg. The accusations and trials would die out by 1631, but by then, thousands of people had been accused and executed. The prince bishops of Bamberg and Wurzburg were particularly zealous in their pursuit of supposed witches. One noteworthy detail of these trials was the fact that members of the elite were arrested after being named by working class people under torture. And this is something which would not normally have happened at that time if the process had been about a different crime. Sadly, this hysteria was not only egalitarian when it came to classes. Children as young as 7 were not spared from the fanatics. Most of these victims were burned, as was the case in Europe. The fourth item is the Basque Country in Spain. The Basque trials lasted from 1609 to 1614 and had several factors that differentiated them from other trials. For example, before that, more than 7,000 witches were accused over the course of the trials, but only 11 people were executed, again by burning. The largest group of accused was actually children, while adult men and women were accused almost equally. Despite the large number of accusations and the potential for mass executions, most people escaped this one with little punishment. So as far as witch trials go, this episode was both unique and mild. Next we have Torsaker, Sweden. I can't pronounce that. These witch trials of 1675 resulted in one of the largest mass executions of alleged witches in the area. 71 people, including 65 women and 6 men, were beheaded and then burned. What makes the story even worse in this case was the involvement of a priest who was described as terrifying, and his cruel manipulation of children to both make the accusations and give the testimony that he wanted them to give. So today, these sites and many more serve as a reminder of the historical injustices associated with witch trials and are sometimes marked with memorials or markers to honor those who suffered during this time. It's important to approach these sites with a respectful and reflective attitude, I think, recognizing the impact of superstition and fear on the lives of those accused. As with any similar site tainted by the worst of human nature and interaction, they are difficult to visit, I imagine, but noteworthy in our individual search to understand ourselves and our fellow man. As mentioned, it's my hope to visit at least one site in my lifetime. If any of you have already done so, please share your experience and any insights that you might have to making this kind of a pilgrimage in the comments. And until next time, everyone, blessed be.